Welcome to this episode of the Cargo Couch with Logicom Hub. My name is Sam Stretton. I'm a business owner and lifelong participant in all things cargo, from customs and excise, freight forwarding, and now, of course, dangerous goods. This podcast aims to bring you the latest news in the supply chain, what's happening, incidents, lessons learned, and just hear the voices of real people involved in the industry. After all, everybody in the supply chain is an essential worker, and therefore it's really important that we have a voice. So in this episode, we have Kevin Dougerty from Air Sea Containers. So Kevin, welcome to our podcast, and thank you so much for doing this. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Well, thank you for the invitation, first of all. And I'm Air Sea Containers. I've been here for 22 years now.
Gosh.
Yeah, gosh, indeed. Oh, dear. Yeah, that sounds like a long time, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
So I'm Director of Operations, and I'm overseeing some of the sales and marketing aspect of our business, but also our packaging development and regulation changes.
That's nice, because that's quite varied, isn't it?
Very varied.
In terms of scope.
Yeah.
So no wonder you've been there for 20 years then, if you've 20 plus years, if you get to do different roles and
Haven't found
activities.
anything better to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody will now take me. That's it. Yeah, I'm fixed. You get into dangerous goods somehow.
Yeah.
There's never a pathway, is there?
Oh, no. Nobody chooses
No.
to do this for a living, right?
No. Yeah.
I always used to say that when I worked at Expeditors. Nobody chooses to be a freight forwarder. You just literally fall into it, and then it's really hard to get out.
Yeah. That's it. You're in.
You're in.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent. So we're going to talk a little bit today about packaging, obviously, of dangerous goods. So one of the first questions I guess that I wanted to ask you is what kind of advice you would give to people that are preparing goods or sending goods on how they select the right type of packaging?
Sure. Depends where they are, I suppose, in their journey. If you start with somebody who is completely new,
Yeah.
the first thing they should be doing is a dangerous goods awareness course. Get you onto the right path.
Yeah.
From there, it's the mode of transport that you're going to apply that with.
Yeah.
So I would always say go with road, because you can't.
Well,
really
everything starts on the road,
exactly.
right?
You can't go on
Yeah.
a plane without it.
Yeah.
So that's to me the core one.
Yeah.
Air I found to be a really good one.
Yeah.
That's because the book was easy to go through, and there's only one
Okay.
of them.
Yeah.
Top tip. But if you have to do C, then you've got the two books as well,
Yeah.
which is similar to the ADR.
Yeah, I think they work quite nicely, or mostly cohesively.
Yeah,
There are a few odd little anomalies where there's some differences. but
definitely. But that's the thing. You've got to understand those differences, and it will crop up
Yeah,
in your journey into the world
Yeah.
of dangerous goods. There's uniformity in the UN numbers and certain
Yeah.
things that will flow through everything, but
yeah,
there are those differences, and it just depends on
Yeah.
what your role is and
Yeah.
what the mode of transport is. So I'd start with that. But
yeah,
when it comes into the packaging side, for me personally, from my experience in that, is that you really should lean on people who provide the packaging a
Yeah.
lot more and
Yeah.
get the information from them. It's essential, because if you're at some stage going to consign that shipment in
Yeah.
packaging, how do you select it based on a lot of different choices?
yeah,
And it's not always a simple answer. When you look at the books, there's a lot of information in there, but
yeah,
there's an element of vagueness, I find.
yeah. I think you're right. So what kind of, if I was to come, let's say I've got a new product that's just been designed, it's dangerous, I am going to come to you for advice. What would be some crucial things about that particular item that you might need in order to make the right packaging decision or help guide me?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if we've got something where somebody says, I've got dangerous goods, well, it's got to be identified. In most cases,
So you
somebody will
need your
give you
UN
a UN
number.
number.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would then say, okay, UN number's a starting point, but maybe there's a safety data sheet.
Yeah.
Beware of the safety data sheets. I'm sure you'll be aware they're
Yeah.
not always 100% accurate in the
Yeah.
information that's provided. But again, that's a very good starting point.
Yeah.
Without that information, there's key information that's in there. You're really at a loss. So
Yeah.
we've got to identify what it is
Okay.
that you're moving.
So we've got to know what it is.
You've got to know what
Yeah.
it is. And then from that, the mode of transport is then clearly important, which leads you at some stage to packing instruction.
Yeah. I'm
And-
guessing also you want to know, like, how many, like, am I going to put it in plastic bottles, or, you know, how am I going to sell it to my customer, right?
And that's where
So
we start with a lot of our customers. It will be, I need to ship this, and they've already got something that it's going in.
yeah.
So maybe they've already done a little bit of that work. And if it's a combination pack, so you've got a bottle in a box as a typical example, it could be a plastic inner, could be a glass inner, tin plate, all sorts. So we don't have to address that necessarily, because they'll have also already addressed compatibility,
Yeah.
which is a big issue.
Yeah.
On that substance, it may not be compatible with all material types.
Yeah.
So you've got that, and you've potentially got the need for, well, a bottle isn't going to get consigned on its own.
No.
You know, a single packaging, that's a different thing. It's a different type. But if it's in a combination package, that's when, well, this Pandora's box of information you now need to know comes into play.
Yeah. Do you want 6 of them in a box? You know, how do we segregate those
And
bottles to keep them
what
safe?
restrictions there may be on that packaging in the mode of transport there is.
Yeah.
So you've got to comply with all of that. And then you're left with, okay, this is what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
This is now what legally I can do. And now I need a suitable package to put it in. That's possibly then our step. We've clarified everything and said, okay, so now we'll go into the packaging options.
Yeah. Okay. So then you can offer a multitude of solutions based on what exactly it is that they're selling and how they want to present it to their buyer at the end of the day. Because actually at the end of the day, that's probably their thought process, is how do I make it easy for the people that are going to unpack it at the other end, right?
Yeah.
It is one of the things. You know, I don't know if I told you this, but back in the day, I used to work in a warehouse. Way back in the day. So one of my first jobs was like picking and packing, and obviously part of that is packaging stuff. And I do not, for the life of me, remember ever being taught how to correctly package any item.
Sure.
So what can employers do to, I don't know, hit home the importance of the packaging itself? Because, you know, sometimes even as a consumer, you see packages come to your door and you open the box and there's like one tiny thing with a bit of, not naming any providers, but there's a bit of cardboard paper in there to stop it rolling around. But so what kind of, what should employers be doing to hone on the importance of it?
For me, within that process, somebody will sign a shipper's declaration. I don't know whether at some stage you might put that up on your screen at all, what that message actually is in that little box about what that person who signs that form is signing up to, the legislation requirements, which will include packaging.
Yeah.
And that's really important to understand that level of responsibility. There's a lot of people I know, I've seen from experience, that perhaps don't understand the weight of that responsibility and the gravity of it based on certain things that may or may not happen, which they're signing for, and are they fully aware? So for me, what you've got to do, if you're consigning dangerous goods, it's unlike anything else in the transport chain. Most things have a value that's being transported. Dangerous goods, it's dangerous. You know, it's hazardous to health, the environment, you know, so you've got to think of it differently. And you think of it differently with a culture that you've got to put in place.
Within your organisation.
Exactly. And that's got to be understood throughout that business. And it starts, as I say, if you wanted to start with that shipper's declaration, and somebody's going to sign for that. Now, in order for them to sign it, if they haven't, for example, procured the packaging, and if they haven't packed it, but they've had some element of that process that they're involved in, and they're signing that off, it's about trust. If it was
you're trusting the packer has done
have
it
you packed it correctly? Do you know that you should pack it correctly? Well, I believe I did because I got told this is how I was to do it.
Yeah.
Are you using the correct packaging? Well, procurement got me the packaging.
Yeah.
Okay. Based
So,
on what information?
yeah.
With that substance. So I've got to trust and I've got to be confident.
That everybody else in the organisation is doing
and ultimately
the
you
right
end up
thing.
with this
Yeah.
thing that's competence.
Yeah.
You know, I know it's a dirty word, I know,
Yeah.
in our industry. But it's true, because the moment you're signing that, you're signing up to those three elements.
Yeah.
And it's not just within
Yeah.
that
And in
organisation.
fact, there is a warning on there that says that I'm confirming that everything complies with the dangerous goods legislation
100%.
or yeah.
And it's something that I've understood now over the years. It's largely a self-governing industry.
Yeah.
It really is, because, okay, there are enforcement agencies, but the powers that they have
Limited.
perhaps are limited within the transport chain
Yeah.
once that consignment is in process.
Yeah.
It's different perhaps at airside,
Yeah.
X-ray scanners and inspections that happen.
Yeah.
But roadside vehicle checks are quite limited.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the police agency's problem. It's they are limited by scope of that. So they have to trust that piece of paper that somebody has been diligent, some organisation's been diligent, and even the carrier has to trust that you've done your job.
Exactly, that you've packaged it
So
correctly and nothing's going to happen on the journey.
it's all about those three things to me, and that's what you have to have.
And actually what's interesting is that the whole industry is kind of built on incidents, right?
Sure.
So everybody looks in hindsight instead of foresight, right? So they're looking, oh, there was an incident, so therefore we need to change the way that we do this. So I guess what point you're trying to make, and I think it's a really good one, is that if you start to build compliance and foresight within the organization, and everybody understands what the process is in terms of packaging, and in actual fact the package is the thing that keeps everybody safe, then you're going to be confident to do that signature at the end, because all the boxes have been ticked.
Yeah. And you know, it's not necessarily just that about that package. There could be a number of things that could possibly go wrong with this shipment that inadvertently voids that package.
Yeah.
And even I know I've seen it and I've understood it, that things are in place and we do it this way because we've always done it this way. We've never encountered a problem.
Yeah.
And
that I hear that so often. Wow, I've been doing this for 30 years and we've never had an issue.
And you know what? It's great. It's good. It's good. You know,
you're lucky.
Fantastic. Good for you.
Yeah.
The moment something has happened, what will happen?
Yeah.
There'll be an investigation and someone will say, well, it's dangerous goods. Okay, let's have a look at what was shipped. Here it is on the declaration or consignment note.
Sam signed
and it was
that.
signed by, so it was signed by you. What have you got to say?
Yeah.
And rather than go through that at that stage, which hopefully never happens, and is it the hope that kills you? Well, it shouldn't do. I mean, it's a dirty word again, dangerous goods. But if you're doing it in that way, I think you're setting up to fail.
Yeah.
And it should be, well, you've invested so much. You're investing in training with people. You're trying to do the right thing. But there are simple things that could happen that could invalidate
the processes behind that are not in place.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, and I see that very often sometimes when I go on dangerous goods safety audits, right? Some of the processes are not there. Excellent. I think that was a really valid point that you brought up there. One of the things that you guys did recently at Airseas is that you became a UN testing facility, right? Tell us a bit more about that and what type of testing packages need to go through.
Sure. So as a UN test facility, we are approved by UCAS under the ISO 17025. That's a long title.
I know.
It really is standard. So that means that we are authorised by the VCA Dangerous Goods Office to perform package approval testing.
Yeah.
Now, testing, but not certification.
Right.
So we do that testing and we compile a test report. We issue it to the Dangerous Goods Office. They review it and they can then issue a certificate to whoever the certificate holder is going to be for that package.
Yeah.
it's incredibly scrutinized, the testing regime that we have to do. We're assessed
Yeah.
annually by UCAS. We have to
Okay.
demonstrate practical competence in what we do,
Yeah.
as well as everything else, including impartiality,
Yeah.
which is a big thing for me because
Yeah.
we've done package testing for a long time, and we put that out to an agency to do that. We've got
Yeah.
a great relationship with. But for me, it just made sense that, well, why don't we do that if we're able to,
Yeah.
and it speeds up the process.
Yeah.
Technically, it doesn't look too difficult. The testing regime is some drop testing,
Yeah.
it's some stack testing, and it's some material specification checks. But you've got to do that in a controlled
Controlled
environment.
environment. Yeah.
Environmental controls,
Yeah.
security controls, with quality processes all the way
Yeah.
throughout, and demonstrated.
Yeah,
So
because
it's
you've got to have consistency with the materials that you're using. Otherwise,
Definitely.
the test is not valid, right? So,
And the purpose of that is, if there was any doubt, we want to replicate that test, and it could be replicated in any other test station, because within the UK,
right,
they all follow the same standard
standard
operating
process.
instructions
So anybody can pick it up and be able to test it in
that way.
in their
And they
controlled
should,
environment.
in theory, get the same results.
Yeah.
That's what's supposed to
Okay.
happen. So it's been invaluable for us to be able to do that, and it gives that natural extension already to what we do,
Yeah.
in a speedier way. And I thought, yeah, this would be fine, this process, it'd be great. But there is so much more behind it,
Yeah.
and operating it. But that drives me even more to make sure that people use their packaging in the right way, because
Yeah.
why go to all that trouble and expense
Of getting it tested, because
Yeah.
it must be a really expensive process
can
to
be.
go through
It can be.
once you've designed a package. Are you doing the testing just for combination packages? Or are you also
So
doing it for single packs
We
and
do
drums and stuff?
combinations. We do drums for, we've got steel, fibre, and plastic for solids. We don't
Yeah.
do liquids.
Right, okay.
We took a
So you
choice
don't do
there.
the internal pressure test?
No, no.
I'd love to blow up drums.
Well, we do informally, yeah, in a controlled space,
Yeah.
but not under my office, which
Yeah.
you will see at some point. No, we took the decision not to, because there are already drum manufacturers
Right.
who will do their
Specialised in
tests, and they're
yeah.
specialised in that. So for us, there's not much call
Yeah.
and demand for that. We can
Okay.
revalidate those packages
Oh,
and do
okay.
that, and
Yeah.
that's part of the 5-year revalidation process.
Yeah.
So generally, that's covers enough of the range of whatever we tend to get involved with.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you for telling us a bit about that. So must be a really exciting journey that you guys have gone on to take that on board.
Exciting,
Stressful.
sometimes stressful, definitely. Worthwhile, definitely.
Yeah.
Enlightening, definitely. Yeah, it's all you say. Been doing this for 22 years,
Yeah.
and you think you know an awful lot, but as you delve deeper and deeper and deeper into these things, there's some surprising things that come out, and you think, wow,
Yeah.
okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I didn't know that. Didn't know we had to do that. But it's been a good process, and I actually feel there's some things that we've learned as a business as a result of that
Yeah.
we can put into other practices.
Yeah.
So it's just been all round beneficial.
Yeah. And I guess it would make the process easier if a customer comes for a specially designed package. Then you've got that testing ability there, and
Definitely.
and I think you were talking about the impartiality there,
Yeah.
because obviously you can't bypass any parts of the process just because to satisfy a customer you've got
No.
to go through that in the right way to make
That-
sure it's effective.
That's incredibly
well.
important to me, because I didn't want to get involved in this for some time, because I thought,
Yeah.
well, now different states around the world, by the way, operate different testing regimes. So, for example, you could go and have a package tested in America,
Yeah.
and their labs are able to effectively test and certify all in one go.
Wow. Okay.
The DOT give them that approval. Now, they again operate in different ways in how stringent they are on reviewing the labs that do that work. So
Yeah.
it's different. But for us, we have to do that and then present it to the VCA Damage Goods
VCA,
office.
and then yeah.
Um,
For those people that don't know, what are the acronym VCA?
Vehicle Certification Agency.
Okay.
So vehicles.
Yeah.
It was kind of, dare I say, shoved to them sometime. I think it's
Yeah.
2006, 2007, that it was all with one other organisation, a commercial organisation, and it was deemed, well, do you know what? We need to separate the two out.
Yeah.
That certification process should be a government agency to do that.
Yeah.
And that's fine, and it's operated. Strangely enough, the people who operated that initially were the people who worked commercially in this other organisation.
Yeah.
So they knew the system.
Right. Okay.
But the VCA is huge, and it has governance over MOT stations and things.
Yeah.
But the Dangerous Goods Office itself, based Leatherhead-ish way,
Yeah.
that just looks at the dangerous goods scheme, packaging scheme, tanks as well, all sorts
tank
of different things.
certification. Yeah. 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 That bulk vehicles, I would imagine they do all those kind of things as well. You mentioned America there. One of the things that I've often wondered is, are the testing of packages the same universally? So if I say that this package has been tested to hold 10 kilos and it's come from China or America, could I say that with some certainty, or?
Put me on the spot.
Sorry.
Sam. I can neither confirm nor deny. What you will have are, I suppose, a set of rules recommendations from the UN to follow on package testing as part of that.
Yeah.
How that is interpreted and delivered into different
By
states
each country. Yeah.
is by their own volition, how they want to set up their scheme.
Right.
So this is why I'm saying there's immediate difference in the UK and the US in that.
Yeah.
There will be slight differences even throughout Europe also.
Wow.
And further afield. I don't know exactly what the Chinese state do in their situation. But they should all follow the same principles of it must undergo these particular tests. So that's a given.
In this particular environment.
And that's why, ultimately, a UN mark on a package would be accepted worldwide. It's universal. Because it's undergone those tests, it should therefore be accepted.
Yeah.
Just because it's come from a particular country, and you'll see that country code in the UN mark, GB, obviously Great Britain.
Yeah.
That doesn't have then a disclaimer to say, oh, well, it comes from there, it's a no-no.
Yeah.
But there are different spins on what might be accepted.
Yeah.
There might be additional things within country, but universally, if it's going through, it should be accepted.
Yeah.
I do know from some experience that the test regime scrutiny, if we put it in that way, might differ.
Right.
And I know, for example, when we had our drop test machine installed, it had to be on a floor that was to a particular standard.
Right,
okay. Construction standard floor. Certain thickness, for example, I can't remember the EN standard, 22 something or other off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And without that, the floor may not then therefore be robust enough.
Right.
For the drop.
For the drop, yeah.
What goes on top of that then is a steel plate.
Right.
That also needs to be robust enough, but it also needs to be perfectly level.
Okay.
So.
Oh yeah, of course, because if
there's any slight deviation from that, it could affect the trajectory
of the
drop.
Yeah.
When it lands.
Yeah.
So it's
then you wouldn't get a true testing. Yeah.
Exactly. You're not getting what's called a true drop.
Yeah.
So all of those things matter, and what we had to demonstrate.
Yeah.
Now, I know in different locations, that's not always the same criteria that's applied.
Yeah.
Not to say that it's going to have a completely different outcome, but it may, in my experience. And I know some states will say, oh, but you don't do this, but we do that. And so on.
So is that one of the reasons why sometimes the VCA will say, well, that packaging hasn't been approved for use in the UK because their testing might have slight variations, or?
I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's not
that may be a question for them.
The UN mark that's with the GB mark, then that's a clear. But in terms of being approved, I'd have to see what specifically that was.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So, as we've just discussed, we've got UN specification packaging, which obviously we use for a large amount of dangerous goods. one of the misconceptions that I hear all the time is it's not dangerous. I'm only shipping it in limited quantities, right? And obviously, the packaging that we use for limited quantities just says strong, rigid box. So, what can you tell us about the standards of packaging that we should be using that don't fall under the regime of UN packaging?
Well, the thing is, with all the packaging you're talking about, it has to meet a certain construction standard first and foremost.
Yeah.
And there's a misconception with limited quantities that could be, if you're shipping by road,
Yeah.
and if you're shipping by air, you could be looking at two different things that you need to do there.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more grace with the road regulations on limited quantities, and I understand the reason why. But immediately once you get into air, you have to demonstrate capability of performance.
Yeah.
A 1.2 meter drop test
Yeah.
and a stack test.
Yeah.
And again, capability in demonstrating that. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah.
The intention, I think, for that when it was introduced was to make it simpler,
Yeah.
and cost effective. Unnecessary to have significantly robust packaging and UN mark
If you're just
processes for
putting it
stuff
in a
that is
truck,
in lesser
yeah.
quantity.
Yeah.
Now, that's fine in lesser quantity,
Yeah.
but it's still dangerous goods. And when you ship that by air, guess
Yeah.
what? You're signing a shipper's declaration by air.
Yeah.
So
To
guess
say
what?
that you're
signing up
complying,
to
yeah.
legislation that
Yeah.
you still comply. So again, if
Do
you
you
ask,
know,
if you ask me,
I don't think many people would understand that, Kev, that the packaging that they may have for limited quantities by road is not always sufficient for air freight.
correct, 100%, because there is that disconnect,
Yeah.
and it could be missed that is required.
Yeah.
This is where I might get stick for this, in the sense that you've got common sense being
Yeah.
applied. Look, I know that this package, if it's dropped here,
Yeah.
it's going to be okay,
Yeah.
and it's limited quantities and a stack test.
Yeah.
Well, personally, I've not really seen many stack test failures at all, and in limited
Yeah.
quantities and the size packaging, it's going to be minimal.
Yeah.
But I do know that you have to demonstrate this capability.
Yeah.
So if you've not demonstrated that capability, if I'm trusting you to say that that is, first of all, a package that can be relied upon, and it's packed in the same way in which it was previously demonstrated,
Yeah.
am I wanting to sign this?
Yeah.
So you do have to be
Yeah.
aware. That's a misconception
be
between
aware.
the two.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, for me, it doesn't really matter what the packaging is.
Yeah.
It's got to be consistent.
Yeah.
And the moment it's not consistent, that's when you're going to run into problems.
Yeah. So if I was to purchase packaging for limited quantities, certainly with UN packaging, I get my manufacturer's specification card, and it tells me this is how I need to prepare this package. Would I get a similar type of certification, or should I go through the same process in terms of you selecting the right limited quantity packaging, explaining to my provider this is what I'm trying to ship, this is the mode of transport I'm going to use it for? Would they give me some kind of certification to say yes, this packaging is acceptable for that purpose?
There's a number of ways in which you can do it, and again, because of where this is aimed at, it's trying to reduce the workload involved and the cost involved, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But there's an element of due diligence, and somebody's got to make that happen somewhere. So whether it's you who does a self-test, it's perfectly acceptable. In fact, there's something that kind of bugs me a little bit about this isn't limited quantities, it's packing instruction 950, so Cat B packaging.
Okay, yeah.
So you've got capability that's there about the packaging performance.
Yeah.
Can be demonstrated by experience, potentially.
Oh,
not just
wow.
necessarily
Oh,
by
so
performance.
we
by
shipped it 10
experience.
times and it got there okay.
So whose experience is it? Exactly. So it worries me greatly, these things,
Yeah.
that's allowed. But you then fall into this trap again where, well, it's okay. We don't have problems. It's limited
Yeah.
quantity. It's, what is
Yeah.
it? We don't need to worry about this. Fine, you don't need to worry about it. But if you're going to ship it by air, same thing back again, and you're going to
Yeah.
sign it. Are you happy that if
Yeah.
something happens, it's there?
Yeah.
Um,
So they can do their own video, I guess, of their drop test.
it doesn't take long at all.
Yeah.
You know, to do that, record it, done.
Yeah. And then they've got it as evidence that, hey, this package is capable of withstanding a drop test with this particular substance.
And then once
in it.
that's done, make sure that within the organisation, the people who are packing it in the way in which that was then tested.
Right.
So it's the same
Yeah.
principles, but you just don't have to go through a test lab, and you don't have to have a UN certification.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's why limited quantity is what it is.
Yeah.
But don't reduce the sort of the quality aspect of it that you're trying to achieve that standard.
One of the things that I see is that people forget to fill the absorbent or the cushioning right to the top. I always think people, when you ask people about drop tests, they say, you know, which is going to be the toughest one? They say, oh, the one on the corner. Of course, that is really damaging. But I think very often, if you don't fill to the top, then the tops of your bottles smash really easily.
Definitely.
Right? And people do put cushioning at the bottom and then place their bottles and then forget to do it all the way to the top.
You can't guarantee. I mean, I'm sure you'll have seen it on the back of a vehicle. Somebody's packed something with the arrows up.
Oh my God.
And you find them and they're pointing down, thinking, well, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And for that reason, when you do package performance drop tests, you're going to do it in several orientations, not just on the bottom.
Yeah.
You're going to tip that up and drop it, so it's going to land on that weak point of those closures.
Yeah.
Now, if that comes into a lab and somebody's prepared that in the way in which they want to ship it, we drop that and it breaks. You investigate it and go, we haven't put enough void fill at the top there to support it. Our recommendation would be X, Y, and Z.
Amount.
Not just get the bottom, because people aren't just going to pick up a box and put it in there and just drop it cleanly on the bottom. It won't happen.
Yeah.
So
and I think that's important for everybody to realise. It's not just the outer box. It's actually what you do within that package as well to protect the item that you're trying to ship.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, actually, that kind of ties into my next question, I think, would probably be, what are some examples of people misusing packaging, actually?
I'm sure you got a list of these yourself.
I do.
You'll have seen plenty. I would say, first of all, probably number one is the tape and taping method in a box.
Yeah.
Okay. So, again, it's the thickness of the tape.
Yeah.
Somebody could be using a 50 mil wide, 2-inch tape. And the approval for that has 75 mil wide tape.
Yeah.
But we've only got 50 mil tape, and we've always been using 50 mil tape.
Yeah.
It closes the box, it does the job. But you've just invalidated the approval because it's not been tested.
So in actual fact, just by changing the tape, making it a little bit smaller, the box is now void. It's no longer a UN certified package.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's one thing I always say to people, if you look at particularly a UK UN approval certificate, there's two sides to it.
Yeah.
You've got the front side that most people know with some summary information of what has been fed from the test report.
Yeah.
On the back of that certificate, there are terms and conditions. And like most people, you get bored of looking at the small print.
You just don't read
but it's
the
really
small
important
print.
Because if you look at, I think it's at number 6, it'll tell you about how you must use all of that information that's being put there in the way in which it was packed and approved.
Yeah.
Failure to do so will invalidate this certificate.
Yeah.
So in the small print it says, if you don't follow that, it's null and void.
Yeah.
So that's your first mistake. So you got the tape and the taping method.
Yeah.
So
actually, I've seen this. You can get H's and U's and
do all your.
So if my instructions say it's got to be a H and I only do a U,
invalid.
Invalid.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
And I know. Just for good measure. Yeah. So that's the tape method. There was for some time a real misconception that 4GV packages, so that's a combination package that has the ability to have non-specific inner packaging used, had to have a H tape method.
Right. Okay.
No, that's not true.
Right.
Depends on how it's been tested. So
Right.
for the package that we have that's been U-shaped, tested and approved, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
You don't need more tape.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary.
Okay.
I suppose then tying into that, the 4G and 4GV, there's another one.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
4GV.
before we get into that, just go back to the tape. So
Yeah.
if it's been tested and it's a U shape and I put it as a H, have I invalidated it? Because I put more tape on the box than is expected.
Okay,
in
I'm
the
going to go
testing.
out on a limb and I might get shot down for it, but I would say you haven't, in the sense that
Okay.
you've not diminished its ability to perform in the same way
Yeah.
and the results in which it would have been tested.
Yeah. So I've actually protected
Yeah.
it further. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that because, I do see people do that automatically because that's their process. But
One thing to be aware
yeah.
of, though, if let's just say you did that and went,
Yeah.
oh no, I've made a mistake. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to tear this tape off.
Oh,
Okay. Be careful, because if you tear that tape off and if you take a layer of that paper,
yeah.
of that corrugate board off,
Oh, yeah. Then
you've reduced the performance of the packaging.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again, that could effectively result in a
Yeah.
void package.
Okay.
So you've got to be careful with that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So sorry, we were talking about 4GV
Yeah.
and 4G. Yeah.
So
Maybe just in case anybody doesn't know what 4G is.
sorry, lingo is.
We are
yeah,
lingering.
yeah, sorry. So it's our kind of core package. Is a 4G is a fiberboard corrugated box.
Yeah.
Corrugated
Corrugated.
fiberboard box, not a cardboard box.
Okay, yeah.
Terminology is key.
Very
Cardboard,
good.
yeah.
Yes.
Now, with that approval means that you have tested it as a box with specific inner packaging in a particular configuration.
Yeah.
Now, you could have lots of different types of inner packaging tested under that approval in
Under
lots
that
of different
4G
configurations.
approval.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it will show you on a schedule
Yeah.
all of those different configurations.
Right.
But you could have a typical drum in a box.
Yeah.
That's a 4G approval.
Yeah.
A 4GV is what would typically look exactly the same, but it's now got a V in the UN mark,
Yeah.
which means non-specific inners are allowed in that packaging.
Non-specific inners are allowed in
Yeah.
the packaging.
Now,
Okay.
not anything. That's a misconception.
Right.
Non-specific. Okay.
Okay.
It still has to conform within a packaging requirements. Okay. Construction
Okay.
requirements. And it doesn't mean to say that you can put any substance in there either.
Right. Okay. That's an important point.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So elaborate on that a little bit.
So, for example, our UK approved 4GV packaging, you couldn't put explosives in there directly. It's
Right.
not approved for that,
For explosives.
or infectious
Yeah.
substances,
Yeah.
or certain class 7 as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not just a go-to to do everything
Yeah.
package.
Okay.
But
It
it does
still
mean-
has its limitations in terms of the hazard classes that it's
Yeah.
allowed to.
But
Yeah.
it means you've got, instead of this inflexible package that looks about the right size for the drum that I'm going to put in, but not
Yeah.
quite, I can put it in this. In fact, instead of it being a metal drum, I can put a plastic drum.
Okay.
So you've got non-specific.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
you've still got to put the void fill in
Yes.
and fill all the gaps
Yeah.
and use the same void fill
That was.
that it was originally tested with.
Yeah.
That's the other mistake that people
Yeah.
make.
I see that all the time when I do DGSA audits. People say, "Oh, well, we've changed our chips because we wanted to be green or environmentally friendly
Or dust-free.
or
for example.
dust-free."
Yeah.
And so, tell us a bit more about that.
Well, again, it's for that reason that I've seen very much similar kind of problems that you have. They haven't chosen the packaging with the understanding of what the packaging was approved for
Yeah.
and to do.
Yeah.
And it's misinformed that a 4GV package, well, that's great because, do you know what? We ship all sorts. There's no consistency. We need this flexibility so we can do
Yeah.
it. And that's possible.
Yeah.
But then the next phase is that, well, we operate with a dust-free facility. We can't have dust. So vermiculite, if ever you've seen that,
Oh,
is
gosh.
incredibly dusty. It's a
Yeah.
great
It
material
gets everywhere.
and it's super absorbent and it gets everywhere. So it's a no-no in a lot of circumstances.
Yeah.
So if you then replace that with something else, go back to your terms and conditions of that certificate.
Yeah.
It's a no-no. You'll see, hopefully, on most UN certificates for UK, the void fill material used, vermiculite, or in some cases, for some of our packaging, it'll say chips.
Yeah.
And great, you can use that.
Yeah. Okay.
But if you're doing mixing and matching and changing, no, it's a big no-no.
So, I guess that kind of, what kind of advice would you give if somebody wanted to change the absorbent or cushioning material that they were using?
Get it tested.
Okay, so go back to your packaging manufacturer and say, look, we would like to change from vermiculite to these types of chips. Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, again, it comes down to if you're consigning something, somebody somewhere in there has to be packing it in accordance with the manufacturer's assembly instructions.
Yeah.
What are they saying? How is it being approved? Not just making it up as you go along and, dare I say, the common sense element.
Yeah.
It's not allowed. Common sense is not allowed in dangerous goods.
Yeah.
You have to follow that process because the moment you deviate from it,
process driven. You're right.
It will just mean it's invalidated. And nobody's trying to be clever with it. It's just that's it. So follow it or it's invalid.
So if somebody came to you and said, okay, we got this packaging, we wanted to move this specific UN number, we've been filling the voids with vermiculite, it's getting everywhere, it's sticking to everything, can we change it for chips? Do you guys actually have to go back to the beginning of the packaging testing process and test it with the new cushioning?
Absolutely.
New specification card, new certification would be issued to validate that it's acceptable to change.
And what you're going to find is that with that, it would have to be a completely new certification.
Yeah.
Because the weight of the package will most likely be less.
Yeah.
Vermiculite is great for a number of things, and it can pack down and fill spaces and keep things secure from moving as well in the package. If you start using chips, there's a lot of air in between, so there's movement.
Yeah.
The heavier sort of product that you put in there can mean it'll sink to the bottom, so you're a bit restricted with that kind of thing. So there are a number of ways in which you can reduce that impact, but ultimately you'll have a lighter package, which then has another knock-on effect. With 4GV packaging, another problem that people misunderstand is they'll look at UN marks and go, okay, that's the gross weight of the package. If you look at a 4G box, that's the gross weight of the package. That's what I can put in. That's what I can put in.
Yeah.
Now, some people go, oh no, 4GVs, it's half the weight of the UN mark. That's also wrong.
Right. Okay.
It's half the weight of the tested inner packaging.
Right.
Which could be far higher.
And
you get this net weight.
Yeah.
So you've got the gross weight of the package and then the net weight of the dangerous goods you're allowed to ship.
Yeah.
So in a vermiculite package solution,
you
could have a far heavier package. And that net weight is far higher than in this lighter package. So now the box that was about the same size, all of a sudden you can only ship a certain amount.
2/3 of it.
2/3, yeah. So this box, you have to really think about how much, what's the substance, how much do you want to ship, how heavy is that package going to be? Because you've got to take that into account.
Yeah. One of the things I've started to do when I go and do DGSA audits is that I actually pick up packages and put it on the weighing scales to make sure they haven't invalidated the packaging just purely on the weight.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've seen that a lot actually as well. So it's an important exercise to do when you're doing your audits, I think, for sure.
And that's it. The other one as well is closure talks.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So that can have an impact not just on single packaging as well. That's where it's more commonly seen, of course, because for a single package, for example, a tight head drum, so that you're going to put liquids in with a bung in the head, there's a particular torque measurement that you've got to close that to.
Yeah.
And that's how it would have been tested. Now, you've got to make sure you maintain that in your process.
Yeah.
That also transcends down really to the inner packaging in combination packaging. You should be aware of that as well for safety.
Yeah.
Again, there'll be warehouse packaging protocols and standards that people will deploy in their environments because they have machines, maybe with different cap closure fittings, that'll go to a certain torque for all.
Yeah.
Now, that might be overkill on some,
right?
And not so much on others.
Yeah.
But it does need to be considered.
Yeah. All right, excellent.
No problem.
Well, thank you so much for coming to see us and
Pleasure to be
telling
here.
us about packaging
Yeah.
and what you do at Air Sea Containers. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Thank
All
you.
right, pleasure. So, if you want to talk to us about what's happening in your world of moving cargo, whether it's customs, freight forwarding, uh, dangerous goods, supply chain in general, we would love to hear from you. If you're a regulator, a customer, maybe you've had an incident and you want to talk about what lessons you learned as an organization so that we can help other organizations learn from those lessons. And it's important to learn as we go along. Also, if you're a policymaker or regulator, it would be great to hear about what's coming down the pipeline in terms of regulation changes or industry changes that may affect us. So it'd be good to get the handle on that. Coming up in the next episode, we're going to be talking to Lee Trevis from Expeditors International. And Lee is going to tell us all about why tariffs are important. And he's got a little something up his sleeve that I'm really excited about. So I can't wait to talk to him. So be safe, stay compliant, and keep smiling.